Hi, Trinity Baptist Church. I would like to go today to Genesis 1, just one little verse actually, but specifically to talk about how we can spend some time in worship as we close the day and go to sleep, and as we open a new day. Well, I'll just start by reading the passage. This is Genesis 1, 3, 4, and 5. God is creating light and dark. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. As you go through the rest of the days in Genesis 1, every day is described this way. There was evening, and there was morning. Second day, third day, fourth day. Have you ever thought before, why does it go evening and then morning? What a weird way to describe a day. We think of a day as going morning, afternoon, evening, night. The morning is when we work, the afternoon is when we work, the evening usually is when we work, and then the night is when we collapse into bed, either because we earned it, because we worked so hard today and accomplished so much, or we go to bed frustrated because we didn't earn it, and we're just not happy with what we accomplished today, and we'll really get it tomorrow, and then we spring out of bed already feeling behind by the time our feet hit the floor. Maybe I'm not describing how you think of a day. I confess this is how I thought of yesterday. I went to bed frustrated because I thought I needed to do this, that, and the other thing before I should be able to go to sleep, and I didn't. But perhaps there's something in this idea of evening and morning, making up a day that would allow our going to bed and our rising in the morning to be a time of worship. I was reminded of that in this book, Working the Angles by Eugene Peterson. He talks about why it is that in the Old Testament, days are described as evening and morning. The holidays for the Israelites start at sundown, and then they go through an evening and a morning to the next sundown, rather than like ours that start at midnight and go to midnight. They start at sundown with an evening, and then they go through to the day to the next evening. And, there is evening and there is morning. That's the first day. Peterson says this is because in the mindset that the Old Testament gives us, the day starts with the night, when our bodies have to sleep. And we're designed that way because in the night, while we are sleeping, God is working. Before we do anything, God is working. And then comes the morning when, yes, we work, but only by joining God in his work, in what he's already been doing. And so he says, if we think of the day that way, then we go to bed at night, and our mindset can be that during the hours of my sleep, or I should say, I go to sleep to get out of the way for a while. I get into the rhythm of salvation. While we sleep, great and marvelous things, far beyond our capacities to invent or engineer, are in process. The moon marking the seasons, the lion roaring for its prey, the earthworms aerating the earth, the stars turning in their courses, the proteins repairing our muscles, our dreaming brains, restoring a deeper sanity beneath the gossip and scheming of our waking hours. All that's happening while we're asleep. It starts with nothing we do. But the beginning of the day, the sleeping time, it's all God's grace. And then when we wake, it says our work settles into the context of God's work. Human effort is honored and respected, not as a thing in itself, but by its integration into the rhythms of grace and blessing. The question this week has been, how can we each worship each day? And one way we can do that is by remembering as we're going to bed that it's not that we've earned this sleep or haven't earned this sleep. We don't need to be frustrated or self-satisfied or guilty. It's that we're about to start a new day, which is going to start with God's work while we are asleep. And then as we wake in the morning, we can remember we are joining in the work that God has already been doing while we were passed out. We are joining into grace that has already been at work around the globe, around the universe, while we have been asleep. And with that, we can start our day with worship and with trust and start to integrate our work into God's bigger work that has already been happening.